Good evening again. Hi, everyone. How are we doing? Thank you, gorgeous, patient people of Seattle. We so deeply appreciate all of you being here. My name is Jenny. I'm the Public Engagement Program Manager, and I'm just so excited about the program that we have here for you today. Before we get started, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge that we are on the Coast Salish, the land of the Coast Salish people, specifically the Duwamish. And they have been stewards of this land since time immemorial. So, of course, if you are interested in joining them on their fight for federal recognition, you can check out the documentary Promised Land, and also they have a website, realrentduwamish.org, as well as learning more about it generally at duwamishtribe.org. So, thank you. A few space notes, boring space notes, are exits here and also through this corridor. Please take a moment to turn your cell phones off if you haven't already. If you need an assistive listening device and you don't already have one, we do have some here, so let us know if you need one of those. We have our ASL interpreter here as well. Huge thanks to the Seattle Public Library Foundation for funding programs like this, and also to our community partners, the Loving Room, Elliott Bay Bookstore, Langston Seattle, The Village, the Embodiment Institute, 206 Zulu, and we can't do this without the incredible SPL staff, of course, also all of you, our beloved patrons and community. Thank you all so much, and also for everyone's continued patience with our current cyber attack situation. So I know, boo. Boo to that, but also yay to all of you for being so incredibly patient and amazing with all of that. I was about to do oh, great. Just double checking. It is my absolute honor and privilege to introduce these two absolute powerhouses. Please welcome to the stage Prentis Hemphill and Ijeoma Oluo.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Well, I'm glad to see that y'all are excited as I am for this conversation. I think this response was really appropriate, and I have so enjoyed reading your book.
Thank you.
I think it's really important now more than ever, especially where we're at, where it feels like there's so much work to be done.
Yeah.
And it takes so much out of people.
Yeah.
And I think really evaluating how we move through the world and how we care for ourselves while we do work caring for others is vital.
Yeah.
And so I would love first, I guess, to ask, how have you been caring for yourself on tour? Because I have been on tour.
Yeah.
And it is hard.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. Nice to see everybody. Hi. I've been caring for myself really with relationship. My sister is here with me and has been with me. Where's my sister? Over there. Okay. My sister's over there. So I've been able to travel with my sister, which has been really meaningful. My friends, my team has shown up at different cities and supported me. So it's really been relationship that has held me together. There are times when I feel kind of outside of my own bounds, and having people that actually love and care about me around me has been really helpful. And otherwise, going to sleep, not going out, has cared for me a lot on this tour, yeah. But it's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. That's wonderful to hear. And I know I had tour at the beginning of this year, and
Yeah.
my partner came along with me to just make sure I ate,
Yeah, exactly.
slept, handled the calls of little questions that I didn't need to be answering all of the time.
That's right.
And having people helps. And
Exactly.
I think a lot of times we're expected to do things all on our own. And okay. And it's like, don't mind me. And I'm like, absolutely. Like,
We're minding
what
you
is
right
happening?
now. Sorry.
That's beautiful to see, though, and I have loved watching photos
Thank you.
from tour and amazing conversations and seeing how much people have absolutely loved this.
Yeah.
And so I would love to talk about. I'm sure you get asked all of the time, what is behind this book, and you talk a bit about what is behind this book.
Mm-hmm.
I want to sort of ask that, but I want to ask really about the time we're in.
Yeah.
In reading this book and hearing you talk about this need for us to really address how we treat others and ourselves, how we heal, our conflict resolution skills, really acknowledging trauma and the way in which the work we do can exacerbate trauma.
Right.
It feels very timely, even while I'm sure it has always been. I think coming out of 2020, through this ongoing pandemic, it feels incredibly timely.
Right.
And when I'm having conversations with people, I'm hearing so many people yearning for solutions around this. And so I would love it if you could talk a little bit about this book in the context of this time that we're in right now.
Absolutely. And it's kind of funny because you write a book and then you wait a year plus and then the book comes out and the people are like, why this book? Why now? And you're like, I think that the book hopefully is helpful in this moment that I think is only kind of increased in the kind of direness of the situation. When I look around at this moment right now, I see probably what many of us see. There's mounting pressures and crises and catastrophes and immense devastation, violence, genocide. And it is overwhelming. It doesn't seem overwhelming. It is actually overwhelming and likely intended to be so. And we are all here because we likely want to contribute to something that transforms the world, transforms the systems in which we live, the institutions that we build. I was thinking about, someone asked me about hope, and I was like, I don't know that I would say that I'm a particularly hopeful person, not to be a downer for anybody, but to write a book, there is something inherently hopeful in putting words together. You do it for a reason, otherwise you wouldn't. So I think there is something inherently hopeful in the act. But what I'm offering in this moment, I think, is, I was talking to a group last night and I was saying there's enough information. We all have enough information about what's happening, how it's happening. There's not much more information that's needed. I think in this moment what's actually needed is for us to be changed by the information, to be changed in our behavior, to be changed inside, to be changed in our relationships, to be changed in what we're willing to do. I think this is the moment to be changed by what we know, because there is no more kind of content to consume that's going to take us a different route. So I wrote this book now in a way to, when I first wrote it, I said I wanted to accompany people through the work of transformation, which is internal work and it's external, and that it's relational. It's both. And so I wanted this book to be the friend that sat next to you when you faced something that was really hard and you didn't know how you were going to do something different. You didn't know how you were going to stay present in conflicts, or you didn't know how you were going to say the hard thing or lead the thing that you were afraid to lead. I wanted to write something that could be with you in those moments.
That's beautiful and so necessary, because I do feel like one of the ways in which oppressive systems, and especially white supremacy, has worked its way through our movements is the idea that we're supposed to suffer through it.
Yeah.
And that shows our dedication if we don't take time to heal.
Yeah.
And often the kind of burden of that suffering lies on people who also then, by demographic, have been, deemed the laborers
That's
of
right.
our particular groups
That's
as
right.
well. And so breaking that is not just necessary to continue to do the work, breaking those patterns is also liberation work.
That's right.
Because we're saying, no, actually, I was not born to labor.
That's
Even to
right.
labor for freedom, I wasn't
That's
born
right.
to be harmed for this.
That's right.
I try to remember, I am what I'm fighting for as well. Like we are all, and it's not a success if we're ground down in this work. And I love the dedication that you have to that, and talking about and holding space for harm, and talking about the importance that we recognize how we've been harmed and how that harm plays out, and how much we need to heal.
That's right.
You do talk in the book about conflict, and I noticed when I was interviewing people for Be a Revolution, everyone who's in this really raw space, especially for movement workers who've been doing work for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think even if you're not a movement worker, the way in which social media or even just being involved at all in social issues pulls people often into conflict and rewards conflict. I think a lot of people are feeling really burned out, or like there isn't a right way to do things without risking a lot of important relationships. And time and time again, I would talk to people and they would say, I'm taking a step back. I'm taking a step back. And I remember talking with Richie Reseda, and he was saying, we spend all of this time outwardly focused, telling other people how they need to treat us.
Yeah.
And we're basically reenacting harm by treating each other
That's
in the
right.
ways that systems treat us.
That's right.
And I would love if you could talk a little bit about what that looks like and how common that is, because you talk about your specific experiences with this. But also as someone who works with people, you see this and you talk about conflict resolution around that. I would love it if you talk a little bit more about what that can look like every day, because I think people get drawn to the salacious big stories and don't recognize how in your everyday interactions with people, we can be acting out these really harmful patterns.
Yeah. Well, I think some of that, and I really appreciate that question, some of that comes from, I talk in the book about how we consume conflict. Like we watch a lot of reality shows, and we're like, who's beefing with who? We've got rap beefs and everything going on right now. So it's like we consume it, and at the same time, a lot of us are really afraid of it, move away from it. Or some of us are like, I'm always ready for it. I wish somebody would have conflict with me today. So there's this kind of odd way I think we end up holding conflict. And one of the things I wanted to name in the book was that conflict is, and I'm going to say, a natural part of being a human being in relationship. You should expect it. You should expect it. It's not a sign that you've done a wrong thing or that you're bad or everybody's bad. It's a sign that there's something that's trying to emerge and be known in the relationship. There's a lesson to learn. Again, I'm talking specifically now about conflict and not necessarily abuse. And so I want to make a distinction here around power and patterns. There's always power present. There's always power dynamics present in every conflict. But I draw a distinction between that and sort of domination, power over. But in conflict, I would say it's going to happen. You have conflicts inside of you right now. You are having conflict with yourself about something. It's causing tension or worry or stress or whatever it might be, kind of churning inside of you. There are conflicts a lot of us don't want to tolerate or name inside of our own bodies and beings, and then there's conflicts between us. There's conflicts that we have amongst each other. And even though you may not be naming the conflict or letting the person know that you're experiencing conflict, it's still happening. Maybe like, maybe if I'm just quiet about this, conflict isn't real. One day it's gonna bubble. You're gonna find the right scenario where the conflict is gonna spill over and it's gonna show itself. So conflict is a part of being a relational being. It's a part of being in community. And in particular, it's part of the dynamic of how we start to witness ourselves more clearly. When I have conflict with you, I can see something about myself and something about us and something about this relationship that we've created that I wasn't able to see on my own. So conflict it happens. You should expect it. And then I think the thing that happens for a lot of us in conflict is, what we bring to conflict are the fears and worries of the past, to those conflicts. It will be like another time when I was more helpless, and so I have to defend against it in a whole lot of ways. And I have to defend against you, but I also have to defend against the lesson that is embedded inside of this conflict that is trying to be revealed in the relationship. And so when I work with people, when I work with groups, when I live my life and I have conflict and I don't like it myself, it's partially I'm trying to support people to remember what is at the core of the conflict. Have you retrieved the thing in the middle of the conflict that will transform your relationship, that will grow you up? Have you figured out how to retrieve that? Because I think it's so important. So I think that's some of how I hold conflict, and I understand there's so much conflict here. It's almost like we started to name conflict is okay, and there are conflict facilitators, and then suddenly everybody's in conflict. Everybody's like, okay, I got a beef with this person, got a beef. But a lot of times we imagine that our beefs are intractable, that they exist, and it means that they can't be, there's no other side to them. It's a failure that they exist, but I fundamentally disagree with that.
Right, and I totally hear you on that. And when I'm asked, a lot of times people reach out to me because, I'm a Black woman who writes about race and I have a white mom. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people will ask me about conflict with relatives, with white relatives. And I always try to talk to the fear around that conflict.
That's right.
And this idea, the lack of imagination that often feeds fear. And the way in which we are kept from imagining different futures with people in relationship, and talking about the importance of being able to offer up the future you want. And that means sitting with it, and sitting with, getting past the fear that it might not work or you might be rejected. Yeah. And thinking, what if it did work? Which my therapist keeps reminding me, and I groan every time. The therapist's like, what if it didn't go horribly?
Right.
Like, no, but what if it did? There's what I need to be prepared for, and what I don't. They're like, no, what if you didn't enter the room thinking this could be the worst thing in the world? What would you offer someone? Because if you just have this fear, and when you wrote about like resolving this conflict between two individuals, and what was amazing in you were describing it is I could see this immense fear that people had that was driving them to this anger and this feeling of threat. Yeah. And at the core of it was this relationship and what they wanted for each other that they were afraid to actually sit with and put out there.
That's right. That's right.
I love that, because I think when it comes to movement work in general, that is often what happens is we have this future that we're afraid to project ourselves into and to think about, and then the fear of what could threaten and this thing that we don't even want to name turns into conflict, and we haven't been able to say, we could do this.
That's right, that's right. That's right. I mean, I think there's a lot there too about just our belief in what we imagine, a belief in our visions, a belief in our own ability to change and transform also. I think a lot of us secretly harbor this sense of like, things actually can't change, I can't change, nothing can change, you won't change. And I think that's that fear that we get encased in, but how do we orient to possibility? I think partly also this internal transformation that I'm talking about, to me, lends itself to the work that I've done through embodiment and somatics. It helps me believe in change because I've seen myself shift and grow. And so that helps me believe that change is actually possible. And I think, for us who are organizing, it's not to discount or say that we can't feel despair. I think I do at times. But I think there's also a way that I have experienced change that I can't forget, and it makes me feel like it's possible for more than just me.
That's beautiful. And I love that, and you talking about somatics, I would love to talk about that.
Okay.
Because I've been seeing a Black queer somatic therapist for a couple of years, and when I say it has completely changed my life in ways that like I was not expecting, and yet in it, understanding how important that is, and I think also as a like for Black people, and I think for people who carry that embodied memory of harm deeply, like how crucial it is and how important it could be. I would love it if you could talk a little bit more about somatics, because I think some people are not familiar with it.
Yeah.
And what it is.
Yeah, I would love to. How many people have heard that word before? Oh yeah,
We
because
are
you're
in
like,
Seattle.
I Prentis Hemphill. I'm in Seattle. Why else? Unless you stumbled into this room, you're like, no idea what y'all are talking about. Okay, cool. Well, I would ask who hasn't. Has anybody not heard it? I mean, you can just kind of like signal to me, wiggle your nose. Hi. Cool. Well, I'm talking to you and everybody else. And I always pause here because it does not get, I know there's somatic practitioners here. Is it easy for any of y'all to talk about? It's always like, how do I talk about the thing that is most unnameable? So I'll kind of start with, the somatics to me, the definition I was first given was somatics is the study of how living beings change, and how living bodies can change. It's one way of thinking about it. Also the word somatic, soma, it's Greek, the body in its wholeness, is a way of thinking about our bodies not as just these fleshy, animatrons that move our brains from place to place, or that do the tasks we have on our task list, or that look cute for somebody else, that our bodies are actually these sites of wonder and action and imagination and connection and belief and all of these things, that our bodies are much more dynamic than a lot of us have been trained into conceptualizing the body and also living in our bodies. So I think one of the things that I've really come to understand through somatics is that the way that we live inside of ourselves has been trained into us. From the moment we're little bitty beings all the way up, we get sort of trained and molded into how to be a body or in a body. And that deeply shapes what we imagine, how we connect, what we build, et cetera, et cetera. And another part of it is that our stories, the things we experience, we say they become lodged in the body in a way, and that's kind of there's a much more complex way of talking about that. But the things that you experience that are unresolved can continue to show up until that pattern has sort of been processed through the body. So I say with people that I start working with, that you might have a part of your body that is responding to something that happened in 1995. Another part that's responding perpetually to something that happened in 2003. And that partially what I'm working with in somatics and really curious about is how can more of us be doing be more here more of the time. And not in a kind of perfection sense, but like, how can more of us be here? Is the curiosity that I kind of have. So somatics is also practices, ways of engaging the body, exploring the body, that have us become ourselves in a way. One of my teachers would say embodiment is conviction. And I think about it that way, that more of me is kind of organized to do the same thing, or as opposed to when I started doing somatics, I would be here, but some part of me was like, I'm hiding in the room. I don't know how you're here, the rest of me is elsewhere. So working with that contraction, that holding, so that more of me can arrive. But the other thing I want to say, I use the word somatics less and less these days, though I feel really aligned and, that's where I come from. I use embodiment because, I think partly what you're pointing to also is that our cultures, our ways of being, embodiment has always kind of been there. What we call somatics, inhabiting ourselves and having rituals that help us live into ourselves is kind of what cultures have done over time. So we dance together, we eat together, there are certain times that we do that, certain moments that we do that. We reach for each other, we hold each other. To me, these are also somatic practices. I remember someone was doing a kind of like, I've really been encouraged over the years to do like 5 somatic practices when, your boss is angry at you or something like that. And I was like, I can't do it. But I saw somebody do a practice, and it's a really good one. They're just kind of like, and you hold yourself and you do it this way. And I was like, that's kind of like a hug. But we make it sound real fancy. It's somatic practice where you like hold someone around the arms like this. I was like, all right. We kind of been doing that stuff, and not saying that there aren't, that somatics can be deeply complex, and I've learned so much about bodies and how bodies are different and everything. And I think we do this stuff too. It's partially, it's human to do. But I think the challenge is we've been so disconnected from the very essential things. I mean, to me, the existence of somatics helps me understand how deeply we have been stripped away from what makes us most human. So I do the work, but it also, to me, I'm like, oh my God. We're all learning how to hold each other again.
Yeah.
And how to feel, and how to let feeling move through our bodies. That's wild that that's where we are, but it is.
Yeah, I totally agree. And actually, I was talking with my teenager a couple days ago. He's 16.
Wow.
And yeah, I know, you're like, oh, I know, 16.
I have a three-nager, I've heard. That's what I have right now, is a three-nager.
Or me-nager is a good one too. But he's like this lovely, like, so we have like, what I work out with my therapist is I have a cat child and a dog child. My dog child is my older child, my teenager is the cat child.
Okay. Do you tell them that, or is that?
I don't think. I mean, I don't think it would. It depends on the mood. I don't think he'd face him. He'd be like, whatever. Mama.
He'd be like, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Why are you talking to me? But I had one of those moments, rare moments, where he's like, let's talk.
Yeah.
We'll have time. It's like, what, you just grab onto it. Like, you love me. I'll hold this.
Right.
This memory of this conversation. But he's also a very passionate young person. And things are right or wrong, and what injustice in the world means a lot to him. Mm-hmm. And so, what's been happening in Palestine has been something that has been just, tearing him apart.
Yeah.
And the kind of apathy of some of his friends who are clearly mimicking their parents has just been devastating for him. Mm-hmm. And, I've been trying to remind him, like, I can see as an adult, like, kids are coming in and they're mimicking parents, And as a parent, watching how the world tries to pull kids away from their core selves, from what they know about love and justice. And he was saying to me, I know I take things too seriously. I know I take things too personally. I know I get too upset. And I was like, no, honey, like, you get as upset as we're supposed to get. A genocide is supposed to be upsetting.
Absolutely.
It is supposed to be something that is unbearable. We aren't supposed to be able to bear these things. We are supposed to want to speak out. And the world tries so hard to pull us away from our bodies and pull us away from what we know.
That's right.
And it's such a great wrong done to us. And as a parent, like, so much of my life has been just trying to hold tight, especially, with boys who are really, really early, don't feel a thing about this. You can feel anger, and that's it. Yeah. And
that's right.
It's just amazing to me how much work then we end up having to do as an adult, and how much money we have to spend in time to learn that it's okay to feel and to find the feelings that are still living in our bodies.
That's right.
And reconnect with them so that we can actually live with them and channel them in the right way.
Yeah.
Because they're still there, and they still, they'll make themselves known one way or the other. And we see that, I think, especially, I see this in movement work all the time.
Yes.
And I think it's so interesting because I get calls from people, younger people, especially younger movement workers in conflict. Why am I always in this? I'm like, well, we're traumatized people doing work that further traumatizes.
Yeah.
And so I would love to talk a little bit about, for people who are going out to protest, who are sharing, who are having these difficult conversations, who may be involved in organizations, of like maybe just how we can start incorporating a little bit of this care at a time when it seems like there's not enough hours in the day, we should all be all the time focusing on the fight. How does this work fit in?
I think I want to start with, some of it is, there is a lot to do. So I don't even say that there's not, there just is. And there is a limit to time. And I think that there's something about the work of, embodiment is really like presence, becoming present as much as you can, that changes time for me, changes how we are in time, changes how we are with each other. I think even the way that we think about what it is that we have to do is still pretty mechanistic. We've been working so long, we've been trained so well to mimic robots as much as possible, and now they're like really here. It's funny. It's not funny at all, actually. But for so long, we've been like, be as much like a robot as you can. Don't feel anything, don't stink, don't be messy, just don't be unproductive to this system in some way. And that's how we treat our emotions. It's how we treat the whole world. It's how we treat the trees outside. It's how we treat the land. It's how we treat feminine people. It's how we treat children. It's how we treat older people. It's how we treat disabled people. It's all about, are you productive to this place in this time? And you have to keep narrowing yourself, narrowing what you feel, narrowing what you've experienced to be productive. And I think that even sometimes we bring that frame to what we think of the work is. Like, I must do these things. I must do these tasks. And that's what will have us win. And I'm not saying we absolutely need strategy. We need powerful movements. We need to be clear about what we're doing and why. We need to be organizing, which is different to me than mobilizing. We need to be mobilizing, we need to be organizing. But how we do that, with what presence, with what quality of connection and care, matters more than we think it does. Because, I've had people say, healing is not going to stop, I think I say in the book, healing is not going to stop the rise of fascism in this country. But I've seen not doing healing destroy movements. My proposal is not that we all stop organizing and go see individual therapists, until we feel ready. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm proposing. But my proposal really is the orientation that we take to our own relationships to ourselves, to our relationships to each other, are what help us withstand pressure. And we are experiencing pressure, and more pressure. I mean, we're all here tonight. You know what other people are doing tonight? They're watching a really scary thing on TV. It's pressure. And we have to be able to withstand pressure, both, we talk about center and somatics. How close to my center do I live? How deeply inside of myself and my values? So a lot of us are living out visions that we've inherited, living out scripts that we've inherited. We're motivated by things that we don't fully understand. And when pressures come, we say we have a certain commitment, but actually we're committed to some other thing in here, to being right, or being good, or being whatever it might be. So I think it's so important for us to get deeper in alignment, to know where our limits are, what we can do, what we can't do, and to bring that kind of intention and presence into our relationships too, because that's what helps us withstand pressure. We can't overlook it. When we do, we end up kind of being in that, we still remain in that individualistic, mechanistic way of thinking about our work and what it means to do work together.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think in that too, we forget we're making value statements in these choices we make. We can't, I try to remind myself, when we decide that our healing doesn't matter, we're making a value statement on our lives.
Absolutely.
When we say that our relationships with each other don't matter, we're making value statements on the people that we are in relationship with.
Right.
And that we are told, that healing and this stuff is at odds with the movement, but the truth is saying that how I treat you doesn't matter is actually what's at odds with our movement.
Right.
And we are reinforcing this systemic oppression that says that we don't matter.
That's right.
That we,
That's right.
Are only productivity, these ableist, capitalist, racist statements. And we forget that how deeply we've often been programmed by that even in our movements, we have the same levels of judgment where we want to stand it next to business and say, how do our metrics look compared to this, and not how are the people?
Yeah.
Because that is the beginning and end, right? Is countering this message that we don't matter. That's what drives the machine that grinds us down. It's the fact that we matter less. We matter less than profit. We matter less than productivity. And we end up adopting that in movements. And I've heard people told, you don't have time to heal. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're hurting. But that's the exact same reasoning behind our oppression.
Right. I love that. Yeah, that's so clear to me.
I love when you're talking about boundaries. Boundaries is something for me. I love it because I feel like if there's a thing, I feel like every couple of years there's a hot word that people use in the worst way.
For sure.
And boundaries, I feel like is it right now. Like boundaries.
Right now? I feel like we've been in it for that girl.
But like they're that girl. Like people are like, my boundaries. You can't do that. My boundaries.
I got boundaries.
And it's amazing how people can stretch and use and abuse this term.
Do you think it's my fault in part? I wonder if I did that in part. Maybe.
And so I would love, as someone who is thought of when we think about boundaries, I would love to talk a little bit about the ways in which, like, some of these really fundamental misunderstandings of what boundaries are. Because when you talk about boundaries actually making it so that you can love people more, I'm like, yes, and that's the exact opposite of how so many people use them.
Yeah.
So I would love it if you would talk a little bit more about it.
I'm happy to, yeah. I tell this joke, maybe people have heard, I'm always like, when I die, boundaries are the distance is going to be on my headstone. I was like, there's nothing I can do to top that. I don't know. Tried to write a book, it's still okay. Boundaries to me, I think are actually really exciting. I didn't do any study around boundaries. I wasn't really into talking about boundaries when I wrote that thing. I didn't even write it to share it with everybody.
Like, this is going to be viral. No. This is my moment.
I was writing a post that I thought my friends would see.
Yeah.
And then it kept I was like, oh, wait a minute. Who are all, it's going really far. But I think since I've really paid attention to boundaries, and I think what I had learned up to that point is that, boundaries to me, well, I'm going to start here. I think the body has a lot to do with boundaries. Like when I think about even that quote around boundaries that I said, it's really for me a felt sense. How do we design this relationship so that we are intact? And that's assumed that we can each be intact in this relationship and choiceful. So that I can feel relaxed in my body. And I think a lot of people don't pay attention to those things, but I, for a long time, was in a lot of relationships where I did not feel relaxed in my body. I felt kind of perpetually encroached on. And I was always kind of pulling away and always kind of hiding and always kind of wincing. But that was normal to me in a way. There was something in me through my own training that was familiar, I say, familiar to me. But boundaries, when I started to understand them, I was like, oh, I can be choiceful inside of relationships. I can shape relationship so that I'm able to be in my own integrity. That's it. That's what a boundary is to me. It's not something that blocks somebody out, but it's something that keeps you as you and intact. And it's also, the other thing about relationships is that we often inherit how we do relationships. This is how I do relationships based on some past or what I learned. And then we go to other relationships and we keep kind of recreating that relationship a little bit. And boundaries to me, what I understood from that was each relationship is different. I didn't know that. I really didn't. Maybe y'all did. Everybody's laughing you didn't know that, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that we would inherently have a different relationship than I would have with anybody else here, just because of the nature of who we are. And I can be present to the relationship enough to shape it. So when I would have a fracture with someone, as I talk about in the book, having long hiatus, not talking to my dad, I had a moment, I was like, oh, now that we're speaking, do I go back to talking as much or in the same way? No. I've learned new information, and I want to shape it now differently. So that's what a boundary is to me, something that keeps me able to be relational, loving to myself, loving to others. And walls are those things that we kind of cart around and we set them up and put them here in between me and you, and it is not responsive to present time information. It's this is always the thing that keeps out information and keeps me in. Right. And a boundary to me is inherently responsive to now. It's not a script that we carry around.
Right, yeah, and it's so interesting when people will come into a relationship with a set of boundaries, what they call boundaries from a last relationship. They're like, these are the rules and these are boundaries and you will act in this way.
Right.
And for me, I've been, learning how to have my own boundaries as someone socialized to not have them.
Yeah.
And then also thinking that boundaries are expectations you can put on other people. Is that boundary is about your own self and what you allow
exactly
into your space, into your world. It's not my boundary is you do this and my boundary is you don't do this.
Yeah.
My boundary is I let this into me or I don't.
Yeah.
Or if this tries to come in, this is what I do.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the hardest part, but it's so freeing. It's annoying, right? It's really annoying to be but it's me then?
Yeah.
So
That's
you
so
can
real.
just keep doing this thing I hate, and I have to decide if I want to be in a relationship or if I want this.
That's the hard part. I used to do couples therapy all the time, and people would be like, and they're still crossing the boundary. I was like, but where are you right now? Do you want to be here? And they're like, well, I want them to, they're still, I'm like, they are doing what they're going to do.
Yeah. And
you keep choosing to be right here.
Exactly. And in a way though, it's beautiful once you accept that part.
Yeah.
Because then you can actually love people and decide, and that love doesn't mean be in relationship with people. It doesn't mean talking to them every day. You can decide, I love you.
Yeah, but we need
we
need about 5 states in between us for it to work.
Because I'm giving up that idea when you were talking about, these relationships you had, giving up that idea that you will one day change this thing, and that will fix it. This is the space from which I can love you.
Yeah.
Because your stuff, I need it away.
Yeah.
But I can see you.
Yeah.
And it is a more genuine way to love someone.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might have to grieve what you wanted and how you didn't get it, which is why we don't do it.
Yes.
Because we don't want to do that part.
It was beautiful to me because I feel I have a really unhealthy relationship when I'm stressed with Reddit.
Oh, me too, actually,
right?
but only at night, in the middle of the night.
You know how people watch horror movies and they're like, oh, thank
goodness.
Yeah.
I do that with
Yeah.
Reddit threads where I'm like, that could have been me if I had just met this awful person and been stuck in this awful thing. Oh, thank goodness it's not me. And I get the same, I can feel it in my body of like,
Yeah.
I'm angry for someone I don't know and I want to, and so much of it is really people being like, this person violated a boundary, not a boundary. Or if this person would just do this thing differently, we could have this relationship.
Yeah.
And our culture sets that up so often. But in every relationship we have, and I think so much of this book makes clear, like we all come in with trauma. We all come in human.
Yeah.
And one of the big problems, especially in movement work, is our refusal to see people as they are.
Yeah.
Our refusal to allow it to get messy and to decide like where we come together, where we set our boundaries, what is healthy for us and what isn't, and what is healthy for the movement. And I love how it all ties together, and on the personal level, on a movement level, and honestly when we're talking about even on a global politics level, and recognizing that we are connected, and that we do have to, even on a national and global level, let go of narratives that harm us. Let go of I wish it could be, and look at what is, and decide what we're going to do about it. And I think that that's absolutely gorgeous. I don't know when I'm supposed to go to Q&A, and I have this thing where I'll talk forever, so I hope someone's willing to like wave at me when it's time. 10 minutes? Okay.
10 minutes, so, okay. I think there's something I want to say to your last point, if that's okay. Because I feel that so deeply, and I think I read about this a little bit in the book, but it's a lot of times we think either internal or external, and we are very focused on the external, and we should be. There are a lot of conditions that we need to pay attention to, but I don't think it's either or. I think it's a way of being situated so that we can perceive the internal and external, and I think that's what gets us hemmed up in a lot of conflicts. It gets us hemmed up in our relationships, is that a lot of us have information about everybody else. Like, I used to be really good at coming to a room, I know all about you, I can guess about you, I saw you do this earlier and you did that earlier. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm feeling. But I know everything that you're doing, and I told myself a story about it, and it's really complex, and I know, I've made up a lot of things, but I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm carrying into this conversation with you. I don't know what I'm holding on to, or what I'm unwilling to see. And that makes it actually hard for any accountability to happen, for conflict to be generative in any way, for us to vision. It makes it hard for us to do those things because we cannot witness ourselves. And in that way, we're not able to go in and go, oh yeah, this is mine. Oh yeah, I was bringing this part. This did happen, and I was also bringing this. Like, how many times do we enter into conflict where we can do that? Where we're going, yeah, this thing happened that hurt me, and I also brought this thing too. It would dramatically change the kinds of conflicts we had if a lot of us are skilled in doing that, in looking in and having that relationship. And I think really it's a matter of attention to me, the external, internal, and how we split those things apart. But it all matters, and there's a way to perceive more.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it reminds me too of just this kind of idea I've been sitting with a lot, especially I would say this last 8 months or so, that there are powers that are invested in keeping us unhealed.
Yes, absolutely.
And keeping us in states of trauma.
Absolutely.
Because then we can be co-opted into harm, because we're always in a reactive state. We're always in this fight or flight state. We're always, acting out, and we think in defense of our lives, and living out past traumas over and over again. And it literally leads to genocide. It leads to these horrific conflicts. It leads to, in all of our communities.
Yep.
Right? Yep. All of our communities. Yep. And I talk with my partner about this a lot, like as a Black woman, like how much this harms our community in keeping ourselves unhealed and our inability to talk. and really share about trauma. As a Nigerian American, in my family, and my father was in the Biafran War and the genocide, what that means like for an entire country to never be able to talk about it, never be able to address it, and how easily that can be co-opted.
Absolutely.
And I think like we forget that there's a lot of power in other people being able to name our trauma when we can't, and being able to see how we've been harmed and we can't, because then we can be manipulated. And there's a reason why it has been so hard to heal, and it's because we have been purposefully kept from it. And so even further, it is such a revolutionary act to try to heal, because if it wasn't, we would be offered healing. We would be given space for that. And so I think that not only is it important that we do the work to heal, but that we support it. If we say we support movements and support movement work, supporting healing work is a huge part of that. And I was talking with movement workers who were working in areas that weren't considered frontline. Their work was just denigrated across the board. We don't need arts in our movement. We don't need community space in the movement. We don't need these things because that's not the hard work. And it is.
Absolutely.
It's really hard work, and it's the work that keeps us connected to ourselves and what we want for our future, and makes it harder for people to come in and manipulate us.
Absolutely. I mean, that's, in a way, you're kind of summing up what I see kind of globally. You talk about reactionary movements. I mean, to me, I really think about the body in that. What does that mean to be reactionary? It means that you are, we have these reactions in our bodies, these kind of knee-jerk things that happen that we do to save our lives because we are on a kind of edge. And as we've seen in the last couple decades, you can manufacture that sense in people to have them respond quickly, immediately, violently to whatever it is that you want them to respond to. You can manufacture that reaction in people. And so when we talk about healing, and I think about healing like an orientation to how it's not a place that you get to, but it's a way of being in a way. But it creates a much more, sovereign is not quite the word, but there's, to me, the root of kind of self-determination, self-possession is in embodiment and being in oneself. It allows us to perceive choices, and we're less, like you're saying, easily manipulated, both through our existing pain and trauma and through our just being reactionary to fear.
What's funny is I actually have a tattoo for that, because it's a thing that's bothered me for a long time, watching people think they're involved in revolutionary politics and they're involved in reactionary politics. And they are very different things. And I actually like to remind myself, so I have a reactionary, revolutionary is juxtaposed. And it's like on my arm so I see it, so that when I'm like fired up and being like, or just, I'm randomly wishing bad things for people, to be like, okay, what space am I in right now?
I love that.
Am I in a reactionary space or am I in a revolutionary space? Because it can feel righteous. It can feel, like you are doing, that thing. And just pausing and remembering, one, it's not that simple. and asking, like, am I being driven by reaction? Am I being steered right now? Whether it's by my own trauma, by harm being done, or am I really living in a place that aligns with healing and with my goals for the future and our collective goals?
That's right. And
that can be really hard to stop.
Well, I mean, it's a good burn.
It is.
That adrenaline, that cortisol, you're like, you can do a lot.
And we reward it, right? Our society rewards it, and it can be quite dangerous.
It runs on it.
It
runs on it.
We're offered it as like okay, so we know the system sucks. We know you can never get ahead, but what if you could get this person fired? What if, what if we could all get really mad, at this one little thing on the internet? What if we could do that instead? What if you could get in an argument about, the word choice that one of your friends used? What if you could do that for a day and win?
Yeah.
That could be your win.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to win capitalism.
That's right.
You're not going to, and I recognizing that and recognizing how these platforms and systems are really built to reward that. That's part of why I left Twitter, because I was seeing people I love and respect who were suddenly realizing they were building a following off of being mad and picking apart like something one other person said, and people could jump in and feel like they got to win.
Yeah.
They got to win. And that's a natural thing when we're denied real progress and change. But being aware of that and aware of how distracting that is and how harmful that can be, and how much it actually does pull us away from what we want. And it doesn't mean we never hold people accountable.
That's right.
It doesn't mean you never say, hey, that was messed up, don't do that. It means that we are aware of like what our goals are and move towards them and what healing looks like, and recognizing that we all deserve it, but no one's beyond it.
That's right. Yeah.
I love this, and I think questions are being gathered, and I love seeing all these questions.
There's a lot of questions, Seattle.
I love this. And this means so much for Seattle, because having done so many Seattle events, sometimes Seattleites are quite shy. And so we already have questions.
Sure. Oh, I didn't realize I was there for the book. I'll just shove it under my leg the whole time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right. I'm sorry, it's handwriting.
Yeah. This part is always so interesting. It's like, okay, what's going to happen now? I don't know. Could go either way.
All right, so I'm going to read the part of this that I can, the handwriting I can understand. I'm so sorry. I'm not insulting anyone's handwriting. I think we're all past handwriting, right? It's wild. Like, we're handed a pen and we're like, what is this? You mentioned one of
past handwriting.
Yeah, we are. We're past handwriting at this point, right?
More or less, yeah.
You mentioned one of your teachers who has informed and shaped you as a healer, and there's a question mark.
Did I say that?
Who?
You mentioned one of your teachers who has shaped you as a healer.
Oh, thank you. So was this your?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I did tonight. I said that tonight.
You said one of my teachers says, and then you gave an example.
I don't know what I said. I need to. Oh, okay. You want me to talk about? Okay. Is that?
I mean, if I may elaborate, I think the institutionalized somatics world is so white, and you and Resma and some other folks have brought this really important narrative. But I'm always like, who are the teachers? Like, who are the teachers that are teaching from lineages that resonate with a wider audience?
Well, that person was white that I was talking about. I'm just kidding. I mean, yeah, she is, but I'm not kidding about that. That teacher, just to answer, her name is Jennifer Iannello. She was my teacher when I was studying generative somatics. She also works with me now at the Embodiment Institute. She's part of our methodology team. And she's just a genius. She's like a strange genius about bodies and trauma. So she says things, I'll just be like, wait, she used to be my supervisor when I first started doing this work. And I would just be like, you must slow down because I cannot ingest all this. Some of my other teachers, I think I've done a lot of my deepest learning when I was teaching with Black Organizing for Leadership and Dignity, BOLD. That is, we use these dry terms like a leadership development, but we be doing it there. But it's like organizers, and we're doing embodied learning together. And so Maulisa Thomas Ijeoma is one of my teachers there. Alta Starr, who also works with us at the Embodiment Institute, is the oracle and she's one of my teachers. Oscar Trujillo, who's not here but will be with us in LA, also teaches me and teaches alongside me. And they come from all different lineages of somatics. I mean, dance and mysticism and African spiritual traditions and everywhere. I mean, a lot of those teachers have taken a lifetime of learning and then remixed it all. So they're teachers, and I hope more of us will continue to say what it is that we have learned along the way. But those are some of my teachers and friends.
Awesome. I'm so jealous that you can just remember names. I swear I'm so bad at this once. I got asked on TV on a red carpet, what are some books you love?
What'd you say?
I'm a writer. I could have at least listed mine.
You couldn't think of any?
Nothing.
You were just
I
like,
just stared
books.
and I just said, please don't air this. And walked off.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm always so jealous when people are interviewing and they're like, name,
I'm not
name,
good
name,
at it.
and I'm like,
not good at it. This is a redemptive moment, actually, because I was on a podcast and somebody was like, I was thinking of Katherine Dunham, the dancer, and I think of her as a somatics teacher, but they were like, they did what you just did. They were like, you mentioned a black dancer, and I was like, I don't remember her name, but so now, Katherine Dunham.
I know, I always feel like I should carry names with me somewhere and be like,
that's a good idea.
Yeah. I love this question. How has parenting shifted and changed your sense of embodiment, or has it?
I mean, please. It's really changed everything. I'm still learning how it's changed everything. But I was having a conversation with somebody a couple days ago, and I was talking about how with my child, I've been having full-on conversations with her the whole time. Even before, when she was, I guess, pre-verbal, but she was making sounds or movements. We were listening to her from the beginning. It felt very clear to me what she was saying. And, I could tell when she was, just like an infant, I'd be like, I'm gonna give you a kiss. And she would just kind of move her head away from me. And I was like, she doesn't want me to kiss her. Wow. I noticed that I could talk to her the whole time. And we had some friends that came to visit, and they were just watching us at dinner, y'all having a full-on conversation with a child that does not speak. And I think one of the things I've been reflecting on is listening for them is so important. Because imagine children that don't get listened for, which may have been many of us, and how you learn to tune out your own body and your own needs when nobody is responsive to what you are actually communicating. And that has been really a major revelation for me, that she's there. She's there, and she's doing her best to make sense of the world, and she's responsive, and she's now very communicative as a three-nager almost, a three-nager. But that's completely transformed me and the way that I think about embodiment, and everything. Just watching her grow and develop conceptually, the way she moves. It's changed everything, and I think I'm still processing what I'm learning from her, but I'm also learning a lot about me and how I was having a conversation with somebody about and their question essentially was what's the positive thing about having kids? Why would you do that? And I was I actually think if you are firmly identified as an individual, there are no good reasons. I don't think. You will not do anything the way that you want to do it. But for me, one of what I consider a benefit for me, I'm not suggesting anybody have children, I'm talking about me, is that I am less of an individual. Just, I'm not just me. I'm like open in a way. I'm responsive listening. It's changed where the parameters of my own being are. So yeah, it's fundamentally transformed my embodiment in that way.
I love that. And for me, one thing that's been really amazing is I'm a neurodiverse mom with neurodiverse kids. And one of my kids has echolalia, has his whole life. And watching in the reflection of what he's doing back at me, of what is in my actions and movements that I didn't realize until you have someone just doing, and like, oh, I was doing that. You know, I didn't realize. And I think like children, they're watching and gathering all information.
They're learning everything.
And things that we don't even know about ourselves. And like if I'm acting really tense and I say something and then suddenly you hear this voice going, right, the exact same way I said it. And I'm like, oh, I'm tense right now. And, you know, and it's amazing how much, you know, like children will show you, like you're not in touch right now with how you're acting and how you're feeling. And it's amazing to watch.
Absolutely. And that's how we learn. That's what embodiment is. It's like all of our beliefs, how we relate to people, who we listen to, who we don't listen to, they're learning all of that. So how power and domination lives in our body will be learned by them through how we engage with the world. It's fascinating to me.
This was a question here. So someone said that, you know, I have said that feedback is a gift. Even if you don't like getting it, it's a gift.
Yeah.
The question for you is...
Can I give you some feedback?
So that would be amazing.
That would be
kind of such an asshole move.
We're taking all the index cards, right? I'm just kidding.
How do we get better at receiving feedback?
Yeah.
Especially when it's difficult.
Yeah. I really think, I'm going to try to say this, it's like, it begins with who you think you are, which by that I mean, a lot of us kind of imagine ourselves as static and we're doing our best and we're trying to get it right and we're just like kind of hardened into a shell of, I'm doing the best I can, right? Or I'm trying really hard. And I think there's a softer way to be in oneself, a more relaxed way of being in oneself, of I am a process. I am learning. I am growing. That will not stop. I will change all the time. I will change. I am changing. I make mistakes. And that's not only an individual challenge, it's like actually a cultural thing. We don't relate to each other as processes, as growing, changing beings. We leave very little room for that. And that makes it almost impossible to give and receive feedback. It is a very, it's not conducive to feedback being able to settle into you and blossom in some way when we're all trying to get it right and protect ourselves from each other. So some of it has to do with who you think you are. And the other thing about feedback too is like, you know, we have a practice that a lot of us are trained in somatics where it's like you get an assessment. Sometimes people give assessments and they're giving you something that's really useful, but also something they wish they told their mother. You know, it's stuffed in there too. You know, I wish I'd been able to tell somebody else, you know. And so you have to have a kind of sense of self and again, be seated in yourself in a way where discernment can happen, where you don't defend against what is useful for you, what rings true for you. Because you know, sometimes when people are like, there's some feedback. Right before you defend, for me, There's a place where it hits you like, dang, that is kind of true. But you know what? Don't you ever talk to me like that. I think giving some space and pause and breath so that there's a place where it can land and stir around in you without you fracturing, without your sense of who you are falling apart, without feeling, oh, I cannot belong here anymore because I made a mistake. Everybody makes a mistake. I said to someone recently, you will probably make a mistake on your dying day. You know what I mean? You're going to keep making them. Whether or not you acknowledge that doesn't mean you didn't make it. A lot of us don't be acknowledging the mistakes. Doesn't mean we didn't make them. Right. So being the kind of person that can make mistakes and figuring out what in your identity is protecting you from being that kind of person. What are you desperately clinging on to, and for what reason and what story? You got to clear some of that out before you can take feedback. And we, I think, have to do practices together because it's very hard. Because culturally, I think it's not encouraged or practiced very well.
Yeah, I love that. And when you talk about practice, like, I think it's important to stress, actually practice it. Because I think a lot of times we're like, can you give me some tips for the next time I'm in a huge fight? And it's like, great, stash.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
What if you just dealt with that, like, you know, when you had a thought that you were like, that's not cool. That's right. What if you paused then and took the time to take that little feedback you gave yourself and sit with it and got more comfortable with it?
That's
what
right.
if you let your kids talk back to you?
Whoop.
Right?
Wait a minute.
Yeah, what if you did? What if you let your kids talk back to you and listen to what they were saying?
The black people alarm just went off in the room. I was with you till just right there.
But you know, it's true. Like, I mean,
Absolutely.
when I think about the practice of it, and not only the practice also of like my kids being able to give feedback, right? How are they going to learn how to give it if I don't let them give it?
That's right.
But how are they going to learn how to receive it if they don't watch me receive it?
That's right.
And also, how am I going to receive it when the stakes are really high if I can't even let my kids tell me,
come on,
you know, that they don't like a thing I did, right? And so you can practice it when the stakes are low.
Absolutely.
And get better at it, and then it'll be a lot easier. Don't wait until, you know, lives depend on it, or it's, you know, you're fired up, because it's not going to kick in.
That's a word.
It's not going to just kick in.
That's a word.
This one is deep. Okay, this is a deep question here. Yeah, you're going to prepare. So when we talk about practicing grounding, how are people who often in many ways feel ungrounded, people who don't know what land their ancestors belong to, people who are descendants of slaves, people who've lost their history, people who've been adopted, how can they find that sense of grounding? How can they practice this if they are feeling adrift?
Well, I started to think real deep, and I was like, I'm those people in many ways. You know, I will say what I have done, and it may not work for everyone, but I'll say what I have done, which is, you know, I think there was a point in time when I realized that, yes, I am displaced. Yes, I am on stolen land. Yes, I've been disconnected from so many aspects of the culture that my people have cultivated and, you know, just created for a long time. And at the same time, there is always a realm in which I always belong. And maybe that's, I'm a little spiritual sometimes, so you can go like this if you want to. But there's a realm in which I don't question my belonging. And that has really, really helped me. It doesn't mean that I'm not responsible to where I am and how I came to be, but there is a realm, a dimension, a place where my belonging is not tenuous. Because I exist. And there's a story that gets me here. And maybe it is a story that includes disconnection, gaps, loss, but it is still a story that threads and weaves. And that story is me. I'm a part of that story. I am that story. I'm like that living story right now. So by understanding my story and telling my story, I in a way, belong more, or I create a space of my belonging. But I feel grounding, you know, one of the things that I'm in practice around too, in terms of belonging in place, is becoming more responsible for the place where I live. Becoming more curious and more aware of what names are for the trees around me, what medicines or poisons, getting more oriented, listening to people whose ancestors have been there for a long time. It just keeps orienting you. There's not a place where you know, I think the thing about centering, about grounding and all these things, it's not like you do it and then one day you're like, I'm as grounded as I will ever be. I'm perfectly grounded. Grounding is the spiraling down, the settling in. And you just keep doing it from where you are, from the fractures, from the gaps. You just keep telling the stories that kind of connect those together, and you just keep spiraling down. That's all. To me, that's as concrete as I can get, really.
Beautiful. It was really beautiful.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah, you give that a moment if you want. This question here, how do you stay present or embodied when your own shit is activated, especially if you have responsibility for a space, if you're facilitating or holding space for others?
I don't. I mean, people ask me a version of this question all the time. How do you stay grounded when this? I don't stay grounded all the time. I just want to be really clear about that. But I do come back. And I think that's kind of the lesson. I can kind of figure my way back a lot of times. But that's all through resource and relationship. So how do you don't, it's almost an impossible, whatever you call it, like a goal. How do I stay grounded? And that becomes its own kind of holding on. You're probably not going to when you're activated, or you're not going to stay grounded. But if you practice enough, which I think is such an important point, practice. You practice. You're always, that's what they told me in somatics, you're always practicing something. Some of us are practicing leaving all the time, practicing hiding, or practicing whatever habits we have that we think keep us safe. Practice the ones that make you grounded. Practice those, even if you think, well, it's weird if I practice. No, well, so what? We have to be weird. So practice the things that you want to do. Practice centering, practice grounding. Not as an idea, and I was like, that's the thing that would be good to do, but like practice it so that you can do it more often. And then I think the other thing about resources, like, you know, there's a somatics teacher whose name is escaping me right now, but made this point that I think is just so important. You always have a practice partner. When you breathe, you have a practice partner with the air, with the trees. You always have a practice partner with the ground. You have a practice partner with the people around you that might put their hand on your back if you need it. So the thing is, what resources do I have to reground is the question. And maybe it's the support of somebody else, like tapping out. I need to tend to my own self right now. Can you move in? Or I need the resource of breath, the resource of outside, the resource of other living beings. The activation to me is an indication that I need resource, not that I'm bad, if that makes sense.
That's beautiful, and I think that's so important that we recognize that it's not this destination you arrive at of like, I am always calm,
No.
I'm always centered.
No.
But I think also allowing space for that, especially if you are facilitating, is important. People need to see your humanity as a facilitator, and whenever I'm leading like a focus group or like a workshop, I'm always at the beginning asking people to prepare for being activated, right?
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to do when this pops up in you? Like, this is a very human thing, and it's not a question I always ask myself.
Yeah.
Right? What am I going to do? But
Yeah.
that's important because people have to see you be able to do that, and you have to care for yourself.
That's
you have to be
right.
able to care for yourself and recognize your humanity in a space. I don't want to work with people who are never fazed
Yeah.
by the work they do. you know, who are never, you know, brought into anything personal ever, because I worry about, you know, because I don't think humans reach that level of like, we're not robots, as you said. Yeah. And so I love that. I think that that's really beautiful. And
I had somebody ask me one time, I was teaching, they got up and they were like, had this face and they're like, okay, I want to ask you something. They were asking me that question, like, why aren't you ever uncentered? What do you do? How do you do that? And I said, I was knocked off center 5 times since you stood up. I was going, but I just kept coming back. And that's the practice.
I love that. I love
it's
that.
True.
And that's life, right?
Yeah.
Like that's life, and I think that's a lot of the work in here too, is recognizing how human that is. And the practice is you keep going.
Yeah.
We don't ever arrive at a space where we aren't bothered, we aren't harmed,
That's right.
where we aren't uncentered, where we're not creating harm. But we do get better at recentering. We get better at coming back to what our ideals and, you know, who we want to be and how we want to relate to people. And so I love this so much, and I love this conversation.
It's been great.
It's been lovely, and they made hand signals at me that we're out of time.
Stop.
Thank you, everyone, for your amazing questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much. Oh boy.